Well, the music that was playing there probably is a hint that that didn't end well. But for now... Celeste? Wasn't that the name we saw in those data crystals? That's right, according to those, she was the de facto leader of the group of ancients who sealed away the Aureole. Yeah, this is getting into endgame Sky SC stuff here. She was also the founder of LaBelle's current royal family. I'm glad to see the information I left behind ended up proving useful to someone. It was pretty lucky that we happened to have someone who was a direct descendant who could kind of fudge the records and get access to her stuff, though. It really did. So then, you're really the founder of LaBelle's royal family? Not technically. I'm not the real Celeste, D, or Sleaze. Think of me as something of a shadow. Or a partial copy her personality created in order to influence Phantasma from within. How can you only be a partial copy? The truth behind you is apparently more complicated than we thought. You don't appear to be a spirit of some kind, though. I see that now. That is correct. Before I try to explain just what I am, I should probably tell you more about what the world we're in is first. You can do that? This should be interesting. As you are aware, the land in which you stand is called Phantasma. This is a world belonging to a higher plane of existence, created several thousands of years ago by the Aureole. Its purpose was to act as a subsystem for the Aureole, in order to incorporate and process the will of the Liber Arc's populace. One might call it a self-organized world designed to realize countless possible others as necessary. Pardon? You've lost me. Yeah, isn't there a simple way to explain this? Well, while not technically correct, perhaps you could think of it this way. Phantasma is like a fictitious realm created by the Aureole in order to fulfill humanity's every wish and desire. That's better. What exactly qualifies Phantasma as fictitious? I can't help but think it far too real to be a land of pure fantasy. When I say a fictitious world, I don't mean to suggest that Phantasma is a complete lie. It's more like a shadowgraph or kaleidoscope. It has its own laws and can change to reflect countless different possibilities. Does this make the concept any easier for you to understand? Somewhat, yes. And suddenly the name Phantasma seems that much more appropriate. So, remember way further back, when I think it was Joshua who was talking about this, the concept of illusions, and how illusions usually draw on, like, the memories and experiences of people within them, and how Joshua was convinced that this wasn't really an illusion because Reese was there, and that's somebody that Joshua's own mind couldn't have created. Well, it turns out Joshua was actually pretty close to the mark. This place is a massive illusory world. As I stated previously, it was a subsystem of the Aureole rather than being the Aureole itself, and it helped to grant people's desires. They were separate entities, but effectively like two sides of the same coin. The relationship caught our eye as we were devising the sealing mechanism. You mean the mechanism used to seal away the Aureole? That was also in those data crystals left behind. Exactly. At first, we thought our plan would be impossible to execute. After all, the Aureole had absolute control over space itself and was able to influence mankind's every action. Yeah, basically think of the Aureole as a giant magical AI, like virtual reality AI, that became sentient and decided to grant every desire to people hooked up to it, whether they liked it or not, and eventually people just became so dependent that they wasted away and couldn't even care for themselves. It's kind of a disturbing concept when you think about it. It basically became fantasy Skynet. Even after coming upon the idea of temporarily freezing it and imprisoning it with a gravity barrier, we had no way to implement our plans. Without that, they were simply ideas with no real meaning. We were effectively at a total loss. You had discovered your foe's weakness, but had no way to take advantage of it. I hate it when that happens in Shin Megami Tensei. That must have been quite the frustrating predicament. Indeed. And yet our perseverance rewarded us with the development of something that could take advantage of that weakness, the Recluse Cube. Is that what this is known as then? Yes, that is the only object in existence able to interact with Phantasma without relying on the Aureole as an intermediary. Celeste used that to create a partial copy of her personality, that is, me, inside Phantasma. And once inside, I began working to sabotage Phantasma's functionality by using this garden as my base of operations. As a result of my efforts, the Aureole's processing ability was hindered just long enough for the plan to be executed. He who catches his foe off guard wins the battle. The same principle applies to martial arts too. It sounds like you really put a lot of thought into planning everything. Maybe, but I can't deny that luck played a part in the end. Once the Aureole was sealed away, my work was done, and I fell into a deep sleep here. My reason being that if the Aureole were ever unsealed, I might be able to provide assistance to the people of that time. I'm pleased you've been able to handle it just fine without my help, however. Luck's played a huge part for us too, though. We're not even sure where the Aureole is now. As far as we're aware, it disappeared during all that happened in the Liber arc. I thought as much. I was able to confirm the Aureole's disappearance from here within Phantasma too. When I did so, I thought my purpose for existing was finally over, and that all that was left for me in this land was to embrace a slow and peaceful destruction. But that was not to be. Soon, the Lord of Phantasma appeared. Ah, so that's when it happens. Quite a recent development, I see. The Lord of Phantasma appeared out of nowhere, sealing all of my power before I was even aware what happened. After doing so, they began to remake Phantasma in accordance to their own designs. Both this world's current structure and the planes that make it up were all the Lord of Phantasma's creations. Looks like your theory was correct, Ren. Still, that makes it sound like... yeah, so you don't know who that masked bastard is either, then? I'm afraid not. Their every action thus far has been a mystery. Ordinarily, they should not have been able to gain access to this world in the first place. And I'm afraid I have no idea what they are trying to achieve by bringing all of you here and testing you. Well, that's a shame. Yeah, that's the part we want to know most of all. I only wish I could be of more help. The only other thing I can say about them is that I suspect the Lord of Phantasma is currently in the 7th plane. There's a 7th? But what makes you think that? That was the first plane they created after appearing in this world. Just what kind of a place that plane is, I don't know. But I can sense dark, inhuman thoughts from there, and they're spreading out across the whole of Phantasma. That doesn't sound good. Then we'll be seeing them after the next one, won't we? Yeah, we just finished the 5th when we came back here. Presuming they're waiting for us on the 7th, the time to fight them head-on may not be that far off. Heh, I was getting tired of waiting. As was I. It seems the end may finally be in sight. Now, if only we had some sort of inkling as to what the Lord of Phantasma is trying to achieve. Actually, I just might. Kevin! You're up! It's good to see you again, Father. You too. Wasn't expecting you of all people to get an invitation here. Or you, for that matter, little lady. I'm sure you weren't. I've got something I want to ask you, but I suppose that can wait until later. For sure. Are you sure you're feeling alright? Right as rain. I'm feeling just great, and that sleep must have done me a lot of good. And I see you guys made a whole lot of progress while I was out cold, too. Yeah. Hey, I'm Kevin Graham. Or maybe I don't need to introduce myself since you seem to know a thing or two about everyone who's come in here so far. True, I was able to tell from what was happening at the Liber arc from the garden, and out of all the people here, you are the one closest to the truth of what's happening here. Am I wrong? What? No, I don't think you are. I can't pretend to be much of an expert on what Phantasma itself is, but I've got a pretty good idea as to who's responsible for all this. I can only think of one person twisted enough to put us through all we've been through. Wait, is it someone you know? You could say that, yeah. The short version is, they're a real piece of work. A cunning, arrogant, cold-hearted son of a bitch who doesn't even see people as people. That about sums up who we're dealing with. Sounds like a real awful guy. And who, may I ask, is it that you're talking about? Well, about that, would you be willing to wait just a bit longer for the answer to that one? I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I'm still missing one last thing that'll let me be completely certain. And I think we'll find out just what that is in the 6th plane. And here I thought we were finally going to get an answer. Is there a reason you can't share your theory as is? Yeah. I realize I'm asking a lot after we've come so far, but I promise that as soon as I know for sure, I'll talk. I swear on the goddess's name and on the church's emblem. Well, I don't see any reason to say no. Likewise, he's clearly got his reasons. It's not often you ask us for favors, so I can let it slide. No problem here. If he says wait, I'll wait. I feel as though we can trust your judgment, Kevin, so I have no objections either. Me neither. I don't really care as long as I get to have my fun. I believe we're all in agreement then. Yep, consider this one settled. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Anyway, now that I'm up, I'm also down to take lead again, and I'd appreciate if you back me up. No problem. It seems like you're all ready to move on. While you're advancing through the 6th plane, I'll do all I can on my end to find out more about the 7th. Of course, if you need my support, I'll be happy to provide it through the cube and the monuments as I always have. Now that you mention it, we haven't really thanked you for all the help you've given us since we got here, have we? Thanks, Celeste, we couldn't have done this without you. We truly are in your debt. Please, think nothing of it. I am but a shadow, placed here with a duty to fulfill. I believe helping you to be part of that duty. If I may, allow me to help you however I can. Will do. Sorry for worrying you too, Reese, but I'm just fine now. So please, just leave everything to me, I'm begging you. Only if you promise me one thing. What is it? I won't make you promise not to put yourself in danger or to overdo it. But don't do anything that would make Rufina sad. You really know how to hit a guy where it hurts, don't you? So, will you promise? Yeah, I promise. I swear on her name, I won't. We now know quite a lot about how Phantasma works. But something has changed about the way our party works now. While Kevin is back in the lead spot, although his level is considerably low, Reese is no longer a required party member, and she won't be for the rest of the game, so we're free to have her out of the party if we want to. Her holy blessing is still great, but I might want to give some other people a chance to shine for once. I think I'm going to bring some people who I haven't used in a while, so for that, Olivier, Zin, and Josette. And I'm mostly doing this just so their levels catch up a little bit. Now, having a whole group of people who are behind in levels might actually be a really bad thing, but I guess we'll see how this goes. Basically, I am definitely planning on using Zin reasonably soon, and I need him to level up a little bit, so gonna go for that. We can actually talk to Celeste here, too. She says pretty much the same stuff that she did back in that cutscene. But before we move out, what you want to do first is you want to make sure that Shara is not in your party, and then head down to this part of the library, I believe. Okay, before we talk to Shara though, there are some more books that have been unlocked. All of the Doll Knight is on the bookshelf. You only have one opportunity to read this back in Sky SC, so it's actually nice to have it all in one place here. in a place that you can freely return back to whenever you want. I think you can go back to the Erebonian Embassy at certain points during Sky SC, but here, like, you'll always have access to the Hermit's Garden. Okay, we actually got the Bookworm achievement for that. I really hope that I have this set up to record the achievement pop-ups, but yeah. So that, yeah, must mean that I read all of those and I read all of the other books. That's the last book in this game. Or is it? From Fat to Fit by Gilbert Stein. Even Olivier is sweat dropping, you know it must be bad. So, there is an exclamation mark here. This has now been added to the list of miscellaneous books. There's a book called From Fat to Fit, written by Gilbert Stein. Read, back away slowly. Well, this guy is, dedicated. Yeah, let's go with that. And for that we get the achievement, Please Erase My Memories. And the description for that is, read a book you wish you hadn't. Now, funny thing about this as well is, I haven't really shown this off that much, I think, in the tactics, but if you go down to character position here, you can actually control people as besides, like, your main lead on the field, and I believe every character has a different reaction to reading this. Ooh la la. And well, because being Josette is suffering, let's make Josette read it too. I'm so sorry, Josette. But yeah, that's just kind of a nice little Easter egg, and it's actually probably one of my favorite achievements in the series, because it's obscure enough that you're sort of rewarded for finding it, but it's not quite as weird as, say, the Breakfast Safari one in Sky SC. That's just, yeah, that's a really bizarre achievement. Find 3 pigeons that have specific names that are never indicated and all have very tiny time frames at which you can talk to them. Now, if we talk to people around here, we'll find that most of them are just asking about Kevin and making sure that he's okay. Kevin hasn't really got to talk to Richard all that much. I want to see if Ren's around here somewhere. Oh, Annalise is with them. Yes, that feel when the one person who shares your hobby is in fact an insane mass killer. Yeah. Well, I mean, at least she has someone to talk to. Huh. Oh. Yeah, those are the, you might have seen them back during the prologue. Those are those Jaeger cats that have the knives in their mouths and, are aggressive and are trained to kill. So, yeah. I mean, training on your own, basically customizable if you know how, demi-plane does sound like something that could happen. Zin versus Agate would be an interesting matchup. Because on the one hand you have pure offense, and then on the other you've got a balance of offense and defense. Ah, okay, you guys are talking about the Schwarzritter. So, yeah, they aren't even really trying to hide who the Schwarzritter is at this point. If you've played any of the earlier games, you will definitely understand who they're talking about there. Okay, no, the spring's not full yet. And we'll be heading after the Schwarzritter soon, but for now, I'm just going to be setting up my party. Especially since I stripped Kevin's inventory from before. And yes, Kevin is in desperate need of upgraded slots, so I'm going to go ahead and do that where I can. This is the equipment setup that I've gone with on everyone. It's kind of provisional because I'm not going to be doing a huge amount of exploration in this part, and you'll see why in a moment, that Olivier has double crimson eyes, and Zian has actually pretty low speed for having heat-resistant boots. I think that's because of, yeah, only having action 3, though. And then Josette has the Fool's Emblem because it's kind of the only way she's going to be useful. I've sort of just got her as an Earth Wall bot for now. So, gonna remember to set my support here, and I can use Reese. So yeah, her remote ability is a lot easier to access now. Except Ren's is better apart from the lower defense, so there's not a whole ton of reason to use Reese's. But yeah, let's go with Mueller for the increased speed. And now, let's warp to Luminous End. We'll have to do a bit of walking before we get into the warp to the next plane, though. This is the warp to the 6th plane, right? Time to hop to it, then. By the way, are you sure you're alright, Kevin? I'm fine, honestly. Never better. Anyway, we can't afford to stand around talking here. We need to get moving. Very well, then. It's kind of cool how Olivier was the one to show concern there. Those fellow crouching moron, hidden badass characters have to stick together. This is a spot on the outskirts of the Herb Scenic Route, right? This is actually where we met Zin for the first time. So, the next place to be recreated in this scenic is the Scenic Route near the Liberlian royal family's villa, huh? Will probably be more dangerous than scenic this time around, though. We should start exploring as much of it as we can, but stay sharp. Now, I just realized I do not have haze on this party, and that's probably a good thing. Oh, please tell me. Okay, so I bought a new weapon for Zin back at the garden, but chances are there's actually a better weapon available for him right now. Yes, there is! Oh well, it just kind of happens sometimes. Peacebreaker. That's an interesting name for a gun. Well, it does raise Josette's strength by 100 points, so I might as well grab that. We can get a better crossbow for Kevin, but it will lower his ATS that much, and he's not really going to be using his physical attacks a whole ton right now, although admittedly with his new S-Craft. Speaking of which, tactics. Yeah, gotta remember to set my S-Break back to Grail Sphere, because I find that more useful to have as a panic button than Spear of Lower, which is useful, but that's usually just on a use it when you want to basis, rather than a, you know, use it all the time as a panic button basis. So as we proceed into here, we're going to be meeting a very interesting enemy. This thing right here, it's a giant version of those statues from the first plane. It always follows you around. However, if you give somebody the Haze Quartz, then it stops following you. It just goes back to its default position, and that makes it a very easy back attack. These things also give pretty solid amounts of experience for like, people, you know, on your level for this point. So, oh, I guess I can show what they are. Sudorudo Talos. And these things here are Hammer Dwarves. Don't underestimate these things. They can actually hurt you quite badly. I'm gonna go ahead and use a Lost Mobius to kind of pull everything together. Not Lost Mobius, Dark Matter EX, I read the wrong thing there. And then you are weak to water and time. However, I also have access to Cyclone... Oh, you're resistant to Cyclone Napalm. That's unfortunate. Oh well. And now I'm going to punch you. I think I'm still in range for Earth Wall here. At least on these two. And now Kevin will just go ahead and Shadow Spear, because that's actually, like, the best single target, time damage. I almost called it dark, but time is basically just dark. And goodbye. Yeah, we can tell that we're pretty behind in levels, so yeah, don't worry too much about grinding, because everyone will be caught up in no time at all. Yeah, we just leveled up a whole ton. Xin learned Supreme Composure. Oh, nobody else got anything. I kind of wish more people got stuff. But essentially what I'm trying to say is that if you go back and forth and respawn this thing and keep fighting it, you'll be caught up in no time in terms of levels. So yeah, don't worry too much about being under-leveled going into this area. These things, if you have the Haze Quartz, make for excellent grinding. So yeah, I'm just gonna fight this thing one more time. I think I'll only need one more time. Yeah, and the only thing they can do is just use that craft that you can quite easily walk out of the way of. So really, they're not that big of a threat. And I think they designed this way, like, to give this much experience so that Kevin catches up because he's been behind for a while. Well, because he sat out the entire last plane. And Josette is still getting bajillions more experience than everyone else because she's that far behind. But hey, Josette's kind of caught up. Gorgon Arrow. This thing is actually kind of interesting. Also, Josette learned, like, the one worthwhile craft she actually has. It's kind of sad, really. Orbital Bomb is an incredibly strong craft. Also, I recommend that you have the Detection Quartz installed for this area. There's only 3 chests, but they're all very well hidden. But I guess I can try and show off Orbital Bomb, which, yeah, like I said, it's an incredibly strong craft, and it really says something that they had to make something that strong just to give Josette at least something that she kind of had going for her. It's pretty powerful. It's one of the strongest crafts in the game, I think. And and you can choose where it lands. She doesn't even have a unique voice pick for it. But yeah, considering her strength stat, that's pretty good damage. So it's decent, but at the same time, she is also Josette, and yeah. Don't want to go on too much more like that because it's depressing for all you Josette fans out there. Like, honestly, as a character, I don't mind her. I just think she's a pretty good character, but it's just that, yeah, I just wish she was better gameplay-wise. And I am glad that, that Evo buffed her considerably by, nothing is written on the, Noval Monument. Buffed her considerably by making a lot of her abilities, including her S-craft, debuff enemies. I think that's actually a really nice niche that they could have given her. Oh, this thing, though. Now, this is the thing that you really don't want to underestimate. So I'm going to try and plunder one of them. What? I've never seen that happen before. Is that a bug? That might be a bug? I'm confused, because normally when you don't steal anything, it says didn't steal anything. Oh yeah, also Supreme Composure, yeah, heals quite a lot of health, so, I mean, considering how much HP Xin has, though, it's not really going to be healing him for a huge percentage, like maybe a little over half. Aha, double Thunder God Kick. If these Bazooka Dwarves get attacks off on you, they can very quickly cause a total party kill. It is nuts how much damage they do, so don't underestimate them at all. Another Silver Gem, nice. Don't you have better things to do? So the nice thing about the Herb Scenic route is that it loops, so we can head through here, and then we'll be all the way on this side, and we have another chest here. Again, like, I cannot recommend Detection enough for this area. I can probably afford to ignore most of the enemies here, because, like, I've already leveled up a ridiculous number of times. I'm going to need to level up a little bit more. We're kind of expected to be level 120 by the start of this area, but as you can see, like, yeah, our stats have climbed up considerably, apart from Josette's, but still. And Kevin's definitely getting caught up, which is good, because Kevin is a great party member. Oh, I haven't shown Gorgon Arrow yet. I'll probably show that. Now, these Grimoires, I believe, can turn into different party members than the ones in the last plane. So I'll be sure to, well, not sure, but I'll try and show that here. But what I'll also show here is Gorgon Arrow. It's a line AoE that I believe is guaranteed petrify if the enemy isn't immune to it. And, you know, it doesn't miss like that. Now, at this point, most significant enemies are immune to petrification, but if the enemy isn't, well, yeah, you'll see it. I don't want to actually use it on a death turn. That doesn't make a lot of sense, because I want to show the petrification effect, but, oh well, I guess we'll see what happens here. How likely are these things to die before they get a chance to transform? Probably quite likely. Josette. And this thing's fainted, so it's gonna go down. I'll try and show what they turn into at some point. And I'll also try and show Gorgon Arrow actually petrifying something at some point. Oh, yeah, we have to go straight down to get that chest. Hi there, I can ignore you. Oh, we haven't fought that thing yet. Is it just me, or do these dwarves look like Furbies? I know I'm probably bringing up horrible traumatic memories for anyone who ever had a younger sister who had one of those. Yeah, I may have had one of those, and I may have in fact hidden the Furby like under the couch because it was horrifying. And yeah, anyone who has grown up with Furbies would know just how. Ugh, I can still hear the me like.
All right, what's next?
This place is just level up city though, and I still didn't get to show Gorgon Arrow. Sapphire Gem, always good to have. I don't see your name on that item, so why are you taking it? More memories of childhood and putting your name on things. Now here we have a red monument, or a Carnelia Monument. Sorry, gotta get the semantics right. But we can't do anything with that. Yet. And we also have another dead end that's directly up, so let's head over there. Just past this fork in the road. Bazooka Dwarves. You look like a perfect victim for me to try and petrify. Here we go, don't miss this time. And yeah, petrified. Also, you have Happy Trigger 3. And I love how they changed the description for that one. It's, wow, 5,500 healing is awful for this point in the game. Just kind of goes to show the power creep of Sky the Third. Normally do a good job of power creeping all of these arts and crafts, but these have not been power crept at all. They're just, I mean, that one has not been power crept at all. This one actually is glowing though. The Lord of Phantasma does decree, here lies the monochrome schoolhouse. Place your hand on this monument, the white wings among your number. So our friends left us a message, huh? And I'm sure the white wings mentioned here must be referring to... I can only assume it must be a reference to my descendant. Oh, hi there. You're here. I don't remember this scene. I think if you bring different party members here, or if you already have Chloe, then the dialogue is a bit different. Or the party members will point out Chloe specifically, but I don't remember Celeste appearing here, so maybe this is my first time I've done this without Chloe. There's no need to be alarmed, this is only a shadow of myself that I created to talk to you here. Technically, I'm still in the garden. Oh wow, so a shadow can create even more shadows of itself. But now that I finally have some of my strength back, I've gained a few new tricks like this one up my sleeve, so to speak. Well, that's cool. Anyway, am I right in guessing we'll need to use this monument to proceed? You are indeed. It appears to be a kind of gate connecting this area to another realm created by the Lord of Phantasma. However, in order to activate it, you will need to have a certain member of your team with you. No doubt they work in a similar way to the doors scattered throughout Phantasma. Makes sense. So in this case, we're going to need to have Princess Claudia, right? I'd say so, yes. The other monuments in this area will likely also serve as gates to other areas, requiring different team members. But as it stands, none of the others are active. I presume you'll need to travel through this gate and finish the area beyond it first. Got it, we'll work our way through. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Should you require my aid, I will be in the garden. Okay. Time to head back to the garden then, I guess. Yeah, we'll need to explain what's going on to the princess and ask her to come with us. So, we have a bit of a hub area in this herb scenic route, and all of these monuments will lead to an Elite Four of sorts. This is kind of the final stretch of the game, however, Chapter 6 is the longest chapter in the game by far. And all of these 4 doors, or monuments, you just walked right into me even though I had haze, they all lead to their own dungeons, basically. So yeah, this is quite a long chapter. But we also have this. We cannot proceed any further that way, but that is pretty clearly the end of this plane that we'll be able to access after we have completed all 4 trials. And now let's grab this ruby gem. Isn't this the part where you give me something in exchange? You know, like a decent human being? Wow, yeah, I would say, I would laugh at that, but that probably hits hard for Kevin. So, down here... Yeah, we fought those before. Yeah, we fought them in conjunction with the statue. There's one more monument. This yellow one, or, sorry, amber monuments. That is everything we can do in the herb scenic route. Next time we'll be coming back here with Chloe and checking out the first of the Elite Four of Chapter 6. So, see you all then.